You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Once Upon a Time After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Once Upon a Time After Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's After Show for Once Upon a Time. This is Season 3, Episode 7, called Dark Hollow, and I'm your host, Cathy Kelley. Joining me to discuss this evening's episode is Tiona Hobson.
Hello, everyone. I am paying attention. I'm just tweeting some people back.
And across the table, Marisa Serafini.
Hello, everyone.
Finally, she is not engineering, so she can give all of her sins, not just 2 of them.
Yes.
And then Keetin Marchi.
Hi, you guys.
Filling in this week again.
So good to be back. Love doing this show.
It is ridiculous. Tonight we got so many reveals. There were so many things that happened. I'm bummed we only got to watch it once because but it's like my mind exploded because of all the things that we learned tonight. The others, just Pandora's box, all these things, ridiculous. So overall thoughts of the episode.
Oh my goodness, I was so excited, and when I first watched this episode, I freaked out, and no one was there to to share my excitement. But I mean, Steven saw me. But this was such a good episode.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. Us 3 watched it together, and we were like screaming every like commercial break. We were like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and like revelations that we were getting like right before they would happen, and then we were like a lot of mind-blowing moments, and it was a lot of fun compared to last week.
I mean, we can say it. The second that the 2 guys of the others started speaking, Tiona was like, that's Michael and John!
The accents gave it away.
We all just got chills. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. First I was like, who are these
hipsters?
These crazy hipsters coming into Storybrooke? And then they started talking, I heard the accents, and I was like, oh my gosh, Michael and John. And I was actually right about something.
I love how from London to Minnesota, though, kind of...
I loved how you just called them the others, because that's what like the group on Lost was called. They were called the others that were on the island.
That's what they called them in tonight's episode as well. So there are a lot of, this episode, we say every single week that there are so many nods to Lost, but this week especially, there were... I can't even count how many references they had. They had a Star Wars reference in there, which we know Kitsis and Horowitz are huge fans of, and Disney just acquired, so it's very timely. But, let's start with tonight's episode. We kick it off with a thing that says 5 days ago. And we get a little recap of when the Save Henry crew went on the Jolly Roger to Neverland, and we get Belle's side of the story. But it starts out, we also get Rumple and Regina. They tell Ariel to take something back to Storybrooke, give it to Belle. Don't tell Ariel what to do with it, but Belle will know. Rumple obviously has a lot of trust in Belle at this point, and Ariel only has 24 hours with this bracelet to work. She gets her voice back from Regina, and Regina says, you just have to trust me that after you complete this task, I will help you get to Eric.
And give you legs.
That's a lot of trust for someone who left her voiceless for 20-something years.
I feel like Ariel's the new Snow. Snow is being a super Debbie Downer recently, actually ever since Ariel got introduced.
And Snow's the new Aurora.
And and like Ariel, every little thing, she's all like, happy time. Like even when they're like trapped in that chair, she's such a positive thinker. And I like it because Mary Margaret, she seems like she's lost a lot of hope.
Well, you gotta think about it. Ariel's still so ignorant to the real world, to humans, and like she's kind of like that muggle that doesn't really know anything about the magical world.
You called her a muggle?
Harry Potter reference. So you can understand her naivety and her ignorance, which is
What's a
still
gun?
happy.
You can use it, and I don't care. And that's not just because I don't know what it is.
Exactly.
It will kill you.
It will hurt a lot, and it will kill you. I like when she was in the shop and she goes, "Look at this stuff," and I just kind of was like,
Isn't it neat?
"Wouldn't this make my collection complete?"
Let's harmonize on that. Great.
How do you harmonize with off key?
They did have less lines though this episode that were completely pulled from Disney movies, which I appreciated.
The ones that were though were very subtle. They weren't in your face like last episode, where it kind of was borderline cheesy. But this episode, it was the right amount.
Yeah. Last week, I think they were having a competition in the writer's room. Like, how many references can we get in one episode right now? And who can come up with the best one?
Yeah.
We're just going to put them all in. Everyone put your choices in, and we're going to include everything.
Well, this story is definitely straying away from the original Hans Christian Andersen, because in my mind, Ariel didn't go to another land and then had legs and then didn't have legs and then had legs again and then had to find Pandora's box. That just came out of nowhere. But anyways, so tonight's episode, Storybrooke and the others, let's talk about that for a minute. Belle is crying because of the Save Henry crew leaving on the ship. Everyone in Storybrooke runs out and is all happy because they're like, they saved us! And
Happy tears.
Belle is crying because she's like, no, Gregory and Tamara took Henry and everyone went on the boat and I have to stay here and cloak Storybrooke. And Rumple's gonna die.
Yeah, for half a second when they ran up screaming like they saved us, I was like, from what? You know, because it just felt like it'd been so long, and I was like, why are you guys still on like they've been in Neverland for 5 days now, and like there's so much happening, and then you know, it was kind of nice to be brought back to that moment, because at first, you know, I was like, saved from what? Oh yeah, okay, go back to the end of the last season. I'm there now.
I almost wish we would have gone back to Storybrooke earlier in this season, just because, like, I did completely forget. They've only been there for 5 days. Like, it just seemed like too much or too long to just be in Neverland without going back to Storybrooke and giving us a little taste of it.
That would have been so confusing, though, on our timeline to see, you know, these things happening instantaneously. I don't know. It would have been more confusing. It's weird to think that Ariel came in that same day that they left on the Jolly Roger in Storybrooke.
No. It was
5 days later.
5 days later. Because they went back to Neverland and they said today.
I thought that...
Which was 5 days later.
No, but Neverland, the time was stopped everywhere else because Neverland time stops, right?
No, time continues everywhere else.
In Neverland, time is like stopped. That's why people don't age in Neverland. That's why they stay young.
And
so at the beginning it said 5 days ago, and that was that part. And then when they went to Neverland, it said today. And so then that's when she got the thing from Rumple and then came back. So it's been 5 days. And they even referenced it when Belle was sitting at Granny's and kind of sulking. They were like, I mean, it's been 5 days and haven't heard anything.
That's like your fourth burger.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
See, if they had gone back to Storybrooke, I just would have been confused.
I think we would have been confused either way, because we saw at the beginning of last season 2, when they got caught in the 2 different worlds and kept going back and forth. We were confused then, so I think either time, if you're going to do it again at the beginning of this season, we're still going to be confused.
Yeah.
So they have to enact this cloaking spell that essentially puts a dome over Storybrooke and would make it impossible for anyone to find. Rumple tells Ariel, who tells Belle, that the others are coming. And we have this scene where the others are in this car, and they just get through as the cloaking spell is enacted. The spell was obviously enacted they went into the mines, and they had to find fairy dust. And that we got that great line of, no time for whistling, we just gotta work. But yeah, so they had to have fairy dust to have this this dome cloaking spell enacted. But the others get through right as the dome comes over. Their back bumper is split from the car. We realize that the license plate is from Minnesota. And I don't know if this is a key to anything later in the season, but 0920 EAW was their license plate. And I know from watching Ones that every single number is important in some regard.
Did anyone feel like the dome when it came down, it felt like Star Wars? In the episode 1, when they're on the planet Naboo and they're putting the shield down.
It does kind of look like that.
It was very much the very exact same manner.
And it reminds me of Harry Potter as well, like when they put the protection spell over Hogwarts.
And it was also just like the show, the dome. Like literally, literally like the pilot episode of Under the Dome, like that's exactly, it like cuts things like in half, like a cow got cut in half. Yeah. It just reminded me exactly of that. They could have switched it out and it would have been the same.
Yeah. Well, domes aren't new concepts, but there was definitely, whether it was paying homage to something else or just their idea and they stole it from another show, that will remain, I guess. They know and we don't. Yeah, we don't. But if you guys have any theories, then please let us know as well. So the others are spying on Belle and Ariel, who makes her way to Storybrooke, and they say the home office was right. Ariel is here. Ariel arrives, gives the sand dollar to Belle, and it plays a message from Rumple. He says, I found a way to defeat Pan and live, but I need something in my shop. You'll know how to find it. And it's something to do with their love. So she immediately thinks of the teacup, which I thought was smashed.
I thought he smashed it too.
Smashed.
And then he puts it back together. Did he put it back together?
I guess he repaired it.
Magic.
Yeah. To go back to that message, that was literally straight out of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, hello, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, literally. I appreciate that.
But you know what? That didn't bother me. It was still fun.
I know. I love it. Keep giving us Star Wars references because it makes me so happy.
Star Wars yesterday.
Because I was wondering what was going to happen when she got it, since Rumple said he couldn't tell Ariel because Pan has ears everywhere. So then he did his kind of like magic hand over it. So I was wondering, I was like, well, when she gets it, what's gonna happen? Is it gonna like, is she gonna hold, like if it was a seashell, like was she gonna hold it up to her ear and like talk to her?
We haven't seen this type of magic in 3 seasons. Like it's the 3rd season, and this is the first time where we've seen messages being sent across
for the first season they didn't really have magic in Storybrooke. And then last year they were all about trying
astral projection.
I mean
in ways of communication.
And I mean they did find a way, to communicate through the realms last year, but that was based on sleeping curses and pits of fire and remind me of hell and stuff like that. So
and this is Rumple, dude.
And this is Rumple.
He's like the most powerful though. So there's not, this is something that
this is the first time where he's a good guy. And he wants to send a message.
And Pan said that, Rumple said that Pan has ears everywhere. So even the message that Rumple sent to Belle had to be cryptic.
Yeah, it was cryptid as well. I was like, this is very vague.
He couldn't just say the teacup straight up. So the teacup, which is the symbol of their love, unlocks a hiding space, and inside the hiding space is Pandora's box. Belle obviously knows about this because she reads a lot, but she didn't know that it was a real thing. So this box could be the key to, it is the key to defeating Pan and helping Rumple live. Do we have any theories of how that'll happen?
They'll open it.
Here's a little tidbit on Pandora's box, thanks to my friend Wikipedia over here.
Thank you,
Wikipedia. Pandora's box is an artifact in Greek mythology, and the box was actually a large jar given to Pandora, which contained all the evils of the world.
And they said that tonight too.
So
I wonder if there could be any repercussions where unleashing those evils then
all magic has a price.
The evil could turn and go take you out.
There could be an even bigger evil than Pan.
But what was left in the box when all the evil had escaped? Hope. Hope was still in the box. So I don't know how they're going to use it. But
it's always dangerous going with the darker stuff because what's to say it's not going to turn on you?
Well, they always seem to have to go with the darker stuff because it's like they have to fight these dark magic people, and light magic doesn't seem to be good enough. And even if it is, which is fairy dust, is all I can think of really the light magic that they have or love. It's it's never really fought Regina or Rumple or Pan successfully in the past. I mean, it's brought people back, but like to fight them one-on-one, it's never worked. So you kind of have to use bad on bad.
Give in to the dark side.
Yeah. So the others who we haven't yet realized are Michael and John yet in the story, they hold a gun to Ariel and Belle right after they find Pandora's box, and they want to know what the box is. Obviously, Ariel doesn't know what it is because she doesn't know what anything is. And the others tell Ariel and Belle that they're working for Peter Pan, but unlike Greg and Tamara, who are patsies, which we think are pawns, we know who we're working for and what we're up against, and we need to ensure that this box doesn't get back to Neverland. So
they have to destroy it.
Yes, and this is where Tiona had her revelation that they are indeed Michael and John. I was so confident in it that I wrote it down. And then Michael and John leave to go open the box. Or, yeah, they were trying to open the box or destroy it?
I think they were going to destroy it.
Okay, destroy it. So Ariel and Belle escape by Ariel taking off the bracelet, and her fins end up breaking the ropes. Did anyone else think that she wouldn't be able to get her legs back after the bracelet was taken off?
It's like Regina never said you could
take it off and put it back on. She just said you had 24 hours with this.
I don't
know. So I was a little scared that, oh crap, now she's not going to be able to walk. We're going to have to carry her down to the ocean and throw her in and be like, hang on tight, girl, we're going to go get this.
Put her in a tank.
I was going to say, put her in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Like 5 days later, and then we see her, like, finally.
I wish we would have gotten to see Eric this episode, or like a glimpse of him, maybe just walking by. I don't know. I want to know that he's actually there.
Maybe we have seen Eric and we just haven't realized it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have a bad feeling about
Eric.
The Eric thing, but I'll save it for predictions.
Okay.
You seem to be right lately, so I'm a little nervous.
I got a tweet from someone about something fishy with Eric. So, I didn't mean to do that pun, but it worked out really well. They take off the bracelet, Ariel's fins break the ropes, and they automatically think head to the mines because that's where Michael and John will be to destroy Pandora's box. Ariel and Belle then convince them, Michael and John, that they can defeat Pan together. Do not break the box. And They
also throw a train car at them.
Yeah. After they throw a train car at them. But
which they had plenty of time to dodge.
Yeah, they had plenty of time to get out of the way.
And I'm surprised he didn't shoot the gun as it was coming at them.
They stood there and looked at it and then freaked out.
They're good guys.
And they're over 100 years old. Like, they probably can't really move that fast.
So they reveal that they do Pan's bidding, and in turn, he keeps them young and keeps Wendy alive, their sister. And it seemed very easy to convince Michael and John to be on the good side again.
I think that it's been how long, and Pan hasn't let Wendy go yet, so these people are saying, hey, we have this thing right here that will defeat him, and then you won't have to worry about him ever again, as opposed to Pan not following through with his end of the bargain. Pan could still, they could do what he has them do, and then he could still just kill them all if he wanted to.
Well, and see, the thing is, I don't think the boys are evil. It's just their intentions and their actions. It's the means of which they're doing.
It's like the things that you would do if you had a gun held to your head. You would probably rob a bank if someone had a gun to you, but you wouldn't do that under any other circumstance.
And I
don't think they're bad.
I think they're also because it sounds like Pan is keeping them young because they've tried to defeat him before and it was unsuccessful. That's when he stole Wendy and said, "You have to work for me to get her back." So they don't want to be young. It sounds like they want to just be done, be able to be done with their lives and live their lives normally. That's what it felt like.
My thing is, it looks like the boys are older than Wendy now.
Well, they are, because I think that to do Pan's bidding, they've had to go back to the real world, and then they age a little bit, and then maybe they go back to Neverland, and their time stops, and then they go back to the real world, and
they said Pan was keeping them young.
Yeah. Well, I think keeping them young is he goes back to Neverland.
But I want to know when Pan got Wendy, because the last time we saw Wendy,
Neal
when Neal went,
her safe.
It was, the deal was you leave this family alone to Peter's shadow. He said, take me instead, but leave this family alone. So
I'm assuming that Wendy had some lady balls and tried to save Bay.
The thing is, we saw
maybe
Peter's shadow took Neal to Neverland.
Yeah.
But we never saw Pan actually take Wendy to Neverland. So I think Pan was the one.
Who went back.
Yeah. Not the shadow.
Not the shadow.
Well, and that's kind of how it happens in like the actual story.
I would
Pan
say,
them.
Yeah, I would say that since they struck that deal, you take me and leave this family alone. I think that Wendy was so distraught over Neal doing that, or Bay doing that for her, when he had nothing, she hadn't really done anything for him other than give him some bread and a place to live, and she wanted to save him, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I can't
see
wait.
Her going off and trying to find a way to save him.
This circle of how everything is intertwined together.
Because I was really wondering, because I know there was a lot of talk about Wendy being in the box, and I was going back and forth between that and maybe it was Rumple's dad, because I just didn't see how having Wendy there would really disrupt Snow and Emma and everyone, but then factoring in having John and Michael being the new people working in the home office in Neverland, that was a great way to tie it in, because I wanted it to be Wendy in the box, but then I just didn't see how it would be that compelling for everyone else to know, because no one knows Wendy except for Bay.
Yeah. We knew from last week that Freya Tinley, who plays Wendy, was going to be in this episode, so we knew that we were going to see Wendy in some capacity, but I was not expecting for her
to be in
Neverland and in the box.
And just real quick, Rose just tweeted me and said that the chip cup was put back together in the season finale when Rumple gave Belle the cure for her memory.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, Rose.
Yes.
Also, I was thinking back to past episodes and remember that whole interaction between Regina and Rumple when Regina says, I have to find a pesky mermaid.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Yeah.
It's all coming together. So they did, last week I said, this whole Ariel story seems like they just fit it in, but clearly they had some foresight and did that last season. So, anyways, let's talk about Neverland. Before we get to do that, I just want to mention to everyone who is watching us on YouTube, please take 2 seconds, go over to iTunes. You can find our after show for Once Upon a Time, as well as a million other shows that we do here. We do about 50 shows a week, including your favorites,
60.
like Once Upon a Time and Wonderland, and there are just plenty of them. If you're a fan of anything on TV, we probably have an after show for it. So check those out. And then also, if you could take 30 seconds to just rate, subscribe, comment. We would love your feedback. I just want to give a quick shout out to Seven Nino, Nenoo. So thank you so much for writing a review this past week. They mean a lot to us, and it kind of gives us some encouragement for doing the show. So thanks. You're awesome. And then everyone who commented on YouTube this past week, your predictions, I'm always overwhelmed by, one, how spot on a lot of them are, and two, it's so cool to have that interaction with, this is AfterBuzz is a place where, fans watch the episodes and talk about them, and you guys giving your input too is just, it's so cool to hear. So
we love it.
Thank you. Yeah. So Neverland, let's start with the Save Henry crew and what they're up to. The shadow, they figure, is a way that they can potentially get off the island. And Hook says, as they're on the quest to find the shadow, Hook says, thank you to Neal for being forgiving of the kiss between he and Emma.
Oh, awkward.
Awkward because Neal didn't know. about
He
this.
didn't hear.
Even though, you were, 100 feet away, and yes, there wasn't a bridge, but he basically said, what happened between Emma and I, and the kiss made me realize that I was over Mila, and I could move on.
But did he hear any of them? Like, could it have been part of the spell that he could not hear what was going on?
They were kind of whispering
really
when they
yelling.
said that.
Yeah, when they were
weren't
talking to
yelling, they
him,
were like, if I had talked to you softly, do you think people from 100 feet away would hear me?
It's very romantic.
Yeah, because when they were actually talking to Neal when he was in that cage, they were yelling a little louder, and then when they were revealing the secrets, like even Mary Margaret and David, when they were talking to each other, it was like, oh my gosh, I want a baby.
It just seems awkward because I thought that the whole reason why Pan set this up is so that the secrets would destroy them.
Well, and I mean, obviously Pan knew even if he couldn't hear it in there, like it was gonna come out. I mean, 3 other people of the party know.
I thought that Hook did that intentionally, that he said that intentionally, like so that it would cause a rift between.
No. But if you think about it, these secrets are slowly eating away at all of them.
Yeah.
They've already happened, but you can still see it's resonating throughout all their actions
Although
today.
by the end of the episode, Mary Margaret and David seem to be on good terms.
Oh, that was a very long embrace. that was a forgive you hug. If I've ever seen one. That moment when Hook and Emma were talking about kind of the whole thing that he revealed to Neal. Can we just talk about how awesome Hook looked? Like the whole every single shot seemed to punch in a little closer to his face.
I was like, your teeth are good.
And his eyes and just everything. I was just so I was hard. It was hard to watch in a good way because I was like, oh my god, Hook is so. I literally wrote down. Pretty. He's so hot, dashing, suave, nice, honorable. I love him. Hooker for life.
Hookers for life.
Hookers for life.
There's got to be a better hashtag for that.
Yeah, no, that's the best hashtag.
It is. He tweets out hookers. He tweets out to his hookers, so he knows what's going down.
Yep.
But yeah, I love that scene because I love how. I mean, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I love how at different moments throughout the episode, both guys pull Emma away for a little private one-on-one conversation, almost pleading their case to her of.
And she has chemistry with both of them.
Yeah, and it's guys,
she does have chemistry.
But guys, we're stuck on an island right now trying to defeat Peter Pan, who's this horrible, horrible person. And you want to talk about love? You're trying to get in my pants right now? No. Our kid is out there, and this can wait until we successfully get home because who knows if we're all making it home anyway. So maybe her options will be down to one if one of them doesn't make it back home.
She was really the voice of reason in this entire situation, and she said ultimately she chooses Henry. That's her love.
That is the right thing to do,
That's a good
especially
choice.
For her. And especially a good way to delay having to make that choice.
Backtracking to Mary Margaret and David for a second, a theme that I've noticed this season especially is something that David said tonight. I thought that love meant sacrifice as well. And it seems like sacrifice is this huge theme this season where, Rumpel is willing to sacrifice himself. Hook, Neal, all of these characters are willing to sacrifice themselves for love, I guess, of someone.
And for family.
Yeah. And, yeah.
It's good to see that, within that, because Mary Margaret thinks that, David was being so selfish over the whole not telling her thing. And, I mean, I know, I
thought he was selfish too, but after hearing his side of the story, I'm so excited I hit my mic.
I mean, I always kind of thought it was a little selfish, but I also think that if Snow were in the same situation, she would have done the same thing, so she didn't really have that big of a right to get that mad at him.
And Snow would have freaked the beep out. She would have freaked out and probably thrown a huge wrench in the whole, idea of him even getting better. She would have never trusted Hook to go off alone with him, because she doesn't really she likes Hook better than I think Charming does, but still she doesn't fully trust him, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
But I still agree with what she said, that he should have believed, that
when he came back that
she would have stayed here with him. They could have built a tree house together and, fought off Lost Boys to the end their ending days. She wouldn't have left him behind. But then, he also,
they could have had so many babies.
Yeah, so many babies.
Can you get pregnant in Neverland though?
Have you ever heard of not being able to get pregnant on an island?
Yes. Lost.
But yeah, it'll just be interesting because even if she were, she says she's okay to stay with him, but then that's basically abandoning Emma a second time. And now she's a grown-up and realizes what's happening. So I wouldn't want them to abandon their daughter again.
Yeah.
I guess is what
They're
I'm
trying to find a way.
They
Love always finds a way.
They will find a way. So Hook and Emma have this moment that we were talking about while searching for the shadow. Neal interrupts, and the lights blow out in this cave where they are, and apparently this is where the victims of Pan's shadows live, or don't live.
The Dark Hollow.
The Dark Hollow.
Deathly Hollows?
Yeah,
What?
Deathly
Yeah, Deathly Hollows. That's what I thought of.
So they have to
such
light
nerds.
a candle. Obviously, nothing is working since their lanterns blew out. Neal's trusty Zippo lighter from the 21st century doesn't work either, and the shadows start to attack. Pretty scary stuff. It reminded me a lot of the, what was that thing called? The Wraith from last season.
Right.
And Emma, of course, has to use magic to ignite a flame, which is what she just learned yesterday.
Yes. Before they pissed off
Great timing.
I thought that she was going to have to choose between Neal or Hook in that moment. I was like, this is too soon. Like, this is no, I don't want her to have to choose yet. But I'm glad that she was able to just do a flick of the wrist and poof,
concentrate
fire.
and boom, fire, capture the shadow and save them both from not
Yeah.
having to get their shadows ripped
And
off.
they said the line that the shadow gets drawn to the light, but it got sucked to the light. It didn't
The
seem like
shadow
the
didn't
shadow
look like
It's not
it
a
was-
moth to the
choice in
flame.
that.
It was like a dark hole of light.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, ooh, pretty light.
Yeah,
It was like, no, I don't want to go in there.
Exactly.
But it said if the shadow, or Neal said if the shadow's close enough to the light, it will suck it in. So she
Okay.
kind of held it up, and so it didn't even have a chance to get drawn to it. It just, psh. It was kind of like Ghostbusters.
It was like this.
But it's very weird because when we saw Bay getting captured by the shadow, he lit the match and the shadow escaped. It like flew off away from the light. It wasn't sucked into the match that he had, and I wonder why that is.
Because it was a magical coconut. It wasn't just a regular coconut. It was a magical one.
tool that he made
Yeah.
to get the shadows.
Okay.
I like how the holes were even poked in the top so it could breathe. It was like when you catch bugs when you're a little kid.
Yeah. So they have the shadow in this coconut, and they go to Tinkerbell to do her part. So, what do we think of this?
I still am not 100% sure that I'm trusting Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Because, she's always been reluctant to help them until they had a sure escape. And now that they've kind of revealed their whole plan to her and then trusting her to go into Pan's camp, I feel like she could just go in there and warn Pan about what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys feel that sexual tension between
her
Tink and
and-
Neal?
totally.
Yeah.
She was
There's
like
something like
excited,
that.
surprised,
She was like,
all
hey, babe,
different
you're all
kinda-
grown now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want some-
You could definitely tell that they
Tink
had
wants a
some
little
history.
Neal in her life.
Maybe she was, part of the reason why he was able to escape. He had his own little secret cave that Pan clearly must not have known about. So he had to have had someone looking out for him to help him through those times when he was on that
When he
island
was lonely.
by himself, a little boy, scared and
Tink.
trying to escape. I think that Tinkerbell might have been maybe more like a motherly figure.
Nah.
No? Okay.
She wants some.
I mean, he was like 11 when he was there, guys. So he was a little boy.
I know,
so.
she's like, you're all grown up now, Neal.
It'd be a little weird for her to be like, hey, little boy.
Did you see Once Upon a Time in Wonderland last Friday?
I think what it
true.
might be is she's been on that island for so long, and there's so many young boys that she's like, oh, I know this guy. We have some, like, platonic history, but now he's grown up, and he's single, potentially.
Honey.
Love it.
So, that's her version of Match.com.
Poor Tinkerbell.
But my thing is that Tinkerbell, she's still grounded, right? She doesn't
Yeah.
really have magical powers. She
Yeah.
has the intelligence and she has the
wherewithal.
experience to know how to like help them get off the island, but she's still not magical. So
Let's talk about Pan, Henry, and Wendy. We finally see her. And it starts off with Pan talking to Felix, and he gets this sense that someone is leaving Neverland. Of course, when Ariel left Neverland. And he tells that to Felix, and he says, we have a timetable, we need to get Henry ready, and it is revealed that Wendy is the one in the cage. Pan has Felix tell the people on the ground to get ready as well, and this plan of theirs is enacted. He's kind of thought everything out, like Pan does.
Yeah, but they gotta push it up a little bit to have to do something to get Henry on board faster than it's actually happening. Yeah. And I love that Henry does question Pan in the beginning of this episode for a little bit, and before he just completely...
But Pan used that to his advantage.
It's also orchestrated.
He sent Felix, and on purpose, and right when I saw Henry behind Felix and overhear Pan, I'm like, well, Pan is doing this absolutely on purpose to use Henry, because like he's using Henry's distrust in him.
He's way smarter than that. Yeah.
And what I want Henry to remember is that he does know that his family's there, and he knows that Peter Pan isn't a good person. So I still feel like even though Henry, is going on board or, following Pan, I think that Henry is still trying to outsmart Pan. And I think that Henry is maybe a little bit smarter than Pan, because Pan doesn't think that Henry is.
He's smarter than we even give him credit for.
Yeah, than we even give them credit for. Like, I really think that Henry is up to something on his own that Pan doesn't even know about.
He does seem more naive this season than any other season that we've seen.
But I think he's playing down to it.
Okay.
I don't know.
They said the line that you're losing the boy. So we know that Henry's really smart and he's concocting something else.
Yeah, I think he's kind of working his own angle on Pan here, and Pan doesn't even see it coming, so that when the time's right, he can, take over or something.
Yeah.
Henry does look a lot older. For some reason, this episode, I think it's because we haven't seen Henry in a while.
Yeah.
But when he was even standing next to Pan, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I remember Henry, like in season 1, where he was a little boy, like this really cute little boy. And he has hit puberty now, and he is
and
tall.
And that goes fast.
I mean, I bet you next season
Neverland for too long.
Like, hey, we got to get out of Neverland. Maybe once they leave Neverland.
They have a timetable, too.
They leave Neverland, and then they fast forward like 2 years later in Storybrooke.
Yeah, that's funny. So Henry follows Felix a little too close, but I mean, we kind of knew that this was all orchestrated. Leads him to Wendy, and she is faking sick and says that magic is dying on the island, and that's the only thing that can save her. Of course, after Henry leaves, Pan jumps out from behind the curtain and is like, thanks, Wendy, for doing that.
Back in the box.
And she's like, I hate lying to him, but then why did you do it?
To save her own life.
To save her own life, save her brother. But you've been on, like, you know that this is bigger than you. You know that multiple people are going to die. So why not, sacrifice yourself like everyone else is trying to do?
And you think that because of her history with Henry's father, which she even, tells him a little bit about, even with that, the fact that his father sacrificed his own life to keep your family together back in the day, you think that would be like enough for her to say, no, I'm not going to do this. Give Henry some sort of signal or something.
I want to watch this over again. I get so upset that we only get to watch it once, but that line, I wonder if there were clues that she said to Henry in that couple lines that would make that maybe it clicks for him as to what he needs to do.
Because when Pan sees him again, he's very quick to say, yes, I'll do whatever, I'll do what you need me to do.
That's why I think he's up to something else.
I agree.
And Pan said to Wendy, he's like, thanks for throwing that in there. So there were things, he didn't tell her exactly verbatim what to say. She kind of improvised it, and maybe they all did outsmart Pan.
Didn't Wendy say some line that because the island is losing the power is fading, it's affecting her more?
Because she's not from there or something along those lines?
And it's affecting Pan, too.
Yeah, so...
No one's from there.
It had the front that she was lying, but I think there was underlying truth to everything that she was saying.
Yeah, because, that's something that, they had said early on, that the magic was dying through Neverland, and that's why Pan needed Henry, even when they were flying. So, and the whole sun not being out thing we've talked about before too, how it's always dark there, and maybe that's a sign of no magic, because in the books, whenever Pan arrives to Neverland is when the sun comes back up.
Yeah.
So the fact that the sun's not there and Pan is there, something is
darkness
wrong.
is taken over. island.
But maybe Pan is the darkness that's taken over, and that's why magic got taken away from him. And Marisa has a really good prediction she's working on because her face is, her mind is just going right now. You can see it in her eyes.
Maybe Pan was once good. Like, and maybe that's kind of why he wants, this is maybe for predictions, but like maybe that's why he so wants Henry's heart, because he wants to be able to maybe be good again and travel between worlds and leave Neverland and have the light come out. I don't know.
There is that theory that everyone is born innately good and you can turn evil. So maybe he did. I mean, he was a younger kid at one point, so. Pan shows Henry how to save magic. Kind of when Henry gets back to camp, Henry confronts him and says, "You were lying to me," and Pan gives him this whole spiel about how he did it because he didn't want Henry to feel pressure for saving one girl and her life. So he shows them where Skull Rock is, and it requires heroism, and it will be very tough to save magic, but this is what he needs to do. And that is the end of the episode. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
Tiona, you got our news and gossip for the week?
I got your news and gossip, girl. Okay, so first things up. Congratulations to Once Upon a Time. They've been nominated for 3 People's Choice Awards.
Yay!
Favorite sci-fi fantasy TV show, favorite sci-fi fantasy TV actor for Jennifer Goodwin.
Yes.
And my personal favorite on-screen chemistry, Emma and Hook.
Yes.
So
I will say I did vote for that. So, I mean, I like a lot of relationships in the show, but I did vote for that.
I do like that one a lot.
I thought it was favorite on-screen couple because I did a story on it last week for another place, and I was very upset that it wasn't Emma and Neal.
No, it's on-screen chemistry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for those two. So not couple because they're not technically a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you guys can vote for that online. Also, to throw in the mix, Once Upon a Time in Wonderland was nominated for favorite new TV drama. So it's still in the Once Upon a Time family. So good to see that show getting a little love its first season out. And then tonight was also the premiere of Killing Kennedy.
Really good.
I have it recorded.
A good one.
I'll just say I watched it. It's amazing. Jennifer Goodwin, awesome. Jackie Kennedy.
Yeah, we have some pictures of her. She plays Jackie O, and I think that the casting's amazing. I think she looks like Jackie O. That's not even her in the detailed picture. Can we see the next one, Steven, please? Yeah, that's her as Jackie O. Side-by-side comparison.
That's awesome.
If you are listening to this, you should see these pictures. They'll be on our website, and she looks dead on as Jackie O.
The only sad thing is that it premiered on Nat Geo Sunday night at 8 p.m. the same time as Once Upon a Time. So
it's a win-win situation for Jennifer Goodwin.
Win-win for her. She was live tweeting about that tonight.
Which was really interesting.
Which was really cool.
She gave a lot of like tidbits of, oh, this really happened.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I set my DVR because clearly I had to watch Once Upon a Time first, and then I will go watch it. But I'm hearing nothing but great things about it. Also, I have a story to share with you guys.
Okay.
You're going to be mad at me a little bit. So I went and saw Thor right before I came here tonight. And I was sitting there, and right as I sat down and the movie was starting, Raphael Sbarge walks in and sat, like, his kids sat next to me, and then he sat next to them. And so I was, like, having a mini freak out, but I couldn't talk because the movie had started. And then after the movie was over and the end thing rolled, like, they got up and left, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I couldn't find him anywhere, so I was so bummed about that. But
how can you not find him? He stands out.
I know, but he was like gone. Like the whole rush of the theater left, so I was really sad. But I did get to sit next to him watching Thor, which is funny since Josh Dallas was in the first Thor movie and then couldn't be in this one because of conflicts for Once Upon a Time.
Crazy.
But that is my.
Maybe we can get Raphael Sbarge. He has called into our show one time.
Yeah.
So.
I read your notes and I saw Josh Dallas was in the first one of Thor, and I thought that you ran into Josh Dallas.
Oh my God.
And I got so excited.
I would have got kicked out of the ArcLight if Josh Dallas had been there, because I would have left over seats and chairs and everything just to see it. And just so that everyone else knows, I'm not going to show the pictures or talk about what's on the pictures, but there are a lot of pictures online right now with spoilers. About who makes it back to Storybrooke when that time comes. So I'm not saying anything about it, but if you want to find those pictures and see who of the cast has been spotted around Vancouver lately? That's where they shoot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to go look, but I don't want to go look. It's like I'm really conflicted.
I'm like, I'm not gonna be the one to ruin it for people, but you have that option to go, and that is Tiona's news and gossip for.
Cool.
Yay.
So let's get some predictions in here, guys.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
You go first.
Okay. Well, when my wheels were turning earlier.
It's a remix of the predictions music.
I'm having way too much fun in here.
No, that's okay because we're all having fun. What if Pan was possessed by something, which made him turn dark, which made Neverland like go all crazy?
Oh.
Like something dark, some evil dark force that is like possessing him or something.
I think he's just a dark dude.
Or maybe his heart went dark, like Mary Margaret said.
Something's
like slowly.
obviously had to affect him. Because right now we think that he's a good guy. We know that from other stories that we think Pan's good, but in this version he's bad. What if he actually really is good, but he's been possessed by something to make him bad?
I just feel like there's some history with Rumpel's father that made him a dark person. Because
it's a possibility.
Have we heard any casting news about Rumpel's father?
Yes.
Oh, we have?
Yeah. I talked about it, Kathy. You sit next to me every week.
There's so much information.
I reported on it like 3 weeks ago. I can't remember the actor's name, but he has been cast, and we will be meeting Rumpel's father.
Yeah.
So
in like the next probably 3 episodes.
I think that, this isn't really a theory, much more so as an observation, but we've seen in flashbacks to Neverland past, where, Hook and his brother come onto the island, it's light outside. They've been there for 5 days, and it's been dark the entire time. So that, I think that once Peter became dark, the island then became a dark place.
And he was dark, though, when Hook first arrived.
I don't think that he was completely dark yet.
I wouldn't say completely dark, but we knew he was devilish and cunning. Yeah. But we don't know if he was a completely dark person at that time.
And one of the first things he said when we met Peter Pan was that Neverland is built on everyone's beliefs, and people have stopped believing in magic and stuff. So it reminded me of, the whole Peter Pan story where you have to clap for Tinkerbell. I do believe in fairies. So maybe that is a little bit to do with it, because if we're going back to today in our world, there's so much technology and new stuff around us that, maybe people did start not believing in fairy tales as much anymore. Yeah. So that drive to save Peter is like, it slowly started eating at him, that people weren't believing in him anymore, and that's what made him dark.
My thing is that because people aren't believing on the island, now that we have the whole Save Henry crew, they all believe in magic. Don't you think the island would turn a little bit lighter?
But he never said
more people are there?
Because he never said people on the island stopped believing. He said people in general. In the world's beliefs of magic is what fuels Neverland. Okay. So, 5 people.
And that's why he had...
That's like Rise of the Guardians, Yeah. You got to believe in Santa.
Another observation that someone tweeted me, and I'm so sorry that I don't have your Twitter handle up, but thank you for whoever did this. They tweeted me that the castle from last week's episode, Prince Eric's castle, was very, very similar to the castle that we saw in the Miller's Daughter episode. And there were flags that were the same thing, and like a lot of similarities. If you go back and look, like that, they're nearly identical. So if Prince Eric is somehow related to the prince that Cora ended up marrying.
Yeah, and I had someone tweet me at Yelly Loves Vamps. She said, what if Neverland and Pan were all generated from Rumpelstiltskin's imagination because of his abandonment issues with his dad, and that's why in order for him to die, Pan has to die, because it's like his imagination.
Wait, I have a prediction.
Yeah, and I still want to say that my prediction about Prince Eric is that he's either dead or he already got remarried to whoever, like in this fairy tale, you know, the original ending is that he gets married to someone else, and Ariel never gets to be with him. So what if he fell in love with someone else and married her?
Dark.
So not even. Yeah. So that's my prediction.
I think he works at the sardine factory.
And as I said last week, I still think that this week Hook is going to sacrifice himself for Henry, and he will be dead. I think he's going to be a major character that dies, and I hate that that's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen.
He keeps saying, "Belle, I will see you now." Like, you know, at first it was he wasn't going to go back, and this episode he said multiple times, like, "I can make it back. I can make it back."
I'm talking about Hook.
Rumple.
No,
I said Hook.
Oh, you're saying Hook.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking Rumple.
I think Hook is going to die.
I don't think Rumple's going to die.
No, Rumple's not going to die.
Yeah, Rumple's not going to die. That's what I was like, wait.
And he's one of the most interesting characters.
So, where can people find you guys to keep the conversation going? Marisa?
You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at KeetinM33.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiona Hobson.
You can find me on Twitter at Cathy Kelley. Please keep the conversation going all week long, and we will be back here next Sunday for another after show for Once Upon a Time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.